then what you're going to see is that we actually create the layer here, the OLE DB point feature layer. We're going to pass in the city. This is the table name, the ID column, the X column, and the Y column. We're going to go into the zoom levels, and we're going to give a default point style set to the point styles.city1. We're going to give it a text style so we can draw the name of the city accompanying the point. And we're going to pass in the column that we want to label it, which is city name. And then we're going to apply it from zoom level 1 all the way to zoom level 20, so these are always going to be visible. The next layer that we're going to set up is a shapefile layer, and this is just for a background, so it's just going to show all the countries, so these cities that we're going to draw aren't floating in water. And the last but not least, we're actually going to display our little minimum feature source, and the minimum feature source is only 1 point. But what we've done is we've given it a default style of a simple star that's size 10 and color red, and we've applied that to level 20. So after you've created these layers and you've set their rendering properties, you go ahead and add it to the map engine, and then we draw the image. But actually, before we do that, I forgot to take a look at the feature layer. So we'll look at the OLE DB point feature layer. As you can see, it's inheriting from feature layer, which is good. Next, you'll see that we have a field that holds the feature source, and we have 2 constructors that mimic the 2 constructors on the feature source. They have the same number of parameters. And inside the second one, we create the feature source, passing into its constructor the items that were passed into us. We then set the this.featureSource equal to that feature source. All of the rest of the code are the properties that support those constructor items. So for example, the table name, the connection string, X column, Y column, etc. And if you'll notice that inside of the code here, we basically call the OLE DB point feature source dot whatever property it is. So these properties are really just a pass-through to allow the user to go through the layer and directly into the feature source. So let's go ahead and run it. And as you can see, background layer are rendered by the shape files, that's all the countries, and the capitals are all the black circles, and that's the data that's directly from the Access database. And if you notice our one little red star, that's from our minimal feature layer and our minimal feature source. And as you can see, if we zoom in, more items get labeled because there's less collisions. And overall, it's relatively fast. We also have a button down here that'll get the count. As you can see, that comes back quickly. There's 191 records. So this just shows really how simple it is to get X and Y values out of an Access database and integrate them into the map in a very meaningful way. So I recommend that if you're going to implement your own feature source, download this code, play around with it, use the code that I provided as kind of the basis for integrating your own kinds of feature sources. And I think you'll have a lot of success with that. That concludes the first video on extending Map Suite. Join us next time, and we'll show you how to add editing functionality to your feature source. Thanks, and have a great day.